Chelsea losing 3-1 to West Ham stings, considering the fact that we were so dominant throughout this game. We created so many chances. I never wanted that first half to end. I can't believe how good Nicholas Jackson was at running the line. Sterling so direct. Chukwuemeka so direct. Enzo Fernandez, everything was ticking. We were absolutely balling in that first half, despite going down 1-0 from the corner, which we're going to talk about in a second. Big moments of complacency cost us in this game, but just it stings so much. I just feel that West Ham could keep getting the better of us at the London Stadium particularly, and we just have got no answers for these type of games. And I feel that Pochettino is going to look at this type of performance and he's going to see where the weaknesses are in this squad, because it's not the talent. At the end of the day, these players have got so much talent, and even though we've revamped this team and there's a lot of new players in this squad and in this starting 11, there still seems to be this lack of temperament that's running through this Chelsea team that I guess is normal when you have a young team. We just don't seem to be controlled and composed. Even though we bossed so many parts of this game, we did not make the most of it. And it stings. It really stings. But I want to get into this game. Guys, before I do so, if you can like this video, that'd be a massive help considering the result. It would be much appreciated. If you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already and you do like the content I'm creating, that would be much appreciated. And leave a comment in the comment box. I want to know your thoughts about this game. There really were so many positives in this game. We were so direct. We were playing so much free-flowing football. Enzo was just making everything tick. And, you know, Raheem Sterling, that's probably the best game I've ever seen him in a Chelsea shirt. I didn't even want him to start, to be honest with you. Everything I've seen from Raheem Sterling so far has been a bit hit and miss. But once again, if there is a man that constantly proves people wrong, it is Raheem Sterling. And this game, he was absolutely immense. Hats off to him. He was so direct. He had the bit between his teeth. He couldn't wait to run at the West Ham line backs. Emerson in particular had a torrid time against him. And he was just a lightning. Like, wearing that number 7 shirt, he just looked phenomenal. And honestly, like, he just played this game with no fear. Something we've just been lacking from our attacking line, especially last season. This game was just Sterling all over. Nicholas Jackson as well. Absolutely sensational running the lines. In the first half, I felt like he, was a bit too... They sort of overcrowded him a bit. He couldn't quite make those runs, but those balls weren't coming as quick and as fast as they were in the first half. And Nicholas Jackson sort of tapered off a bit, got a bit stale. But honestly, the acceleration on this man, he reminds me of Nicholas Anelka. When he starts going, he's just absolutely running on water. He is lightning quick, physical, big. Everything I'm seeing from Nicholas Jackson at the moment is just screaming positivity. I can't wait for him to bag his first goal. And I thought it would happen today. He had a few moments, a few opportunities, but his link-up play was good. That's what I love about him, his hold-up play. He's linking up with other players. He's bringing other people into the game. He's a target man. We've got a really good player on our hands here. And I think this is the type of profile of player Chelsea have been missing. And then Carney was just... At the beginning, I was a bit unsure about Carney. At the end of the day, he's occupying a big role in this sort of... He's a bit off the left. He's sort of drifting into the centre. At the end of the day, he's sort of filling in for where Nkunku would potentially play. And I think in the first 10 minutes, I was feeling a bit like Chukwuemeka wasn't quite getting into the game, wasn't really seeing his intent on what he was planning to do, how he was going to sort of attack and make his mark on this game. And then obviously the goal was sensational. He just grew into the game and he just became such a live wire. He was fantastic. And that attacking line for Chelsea was so positive in that first half. Honestly, I feel like if we can replicate that in games and make sure that we can do it over the 90, we're going to have no problem scoring goals, no problem creating chances, because we just look like a reborn attacking line today. And I was very impressed. But defensive mistakes have cost us again. Now we're going to talk about the set piece. West Ham go 1-0 up within 10 minutes and it's nothing much to say but complacency. Of course, it's a sort of zonal man marking between Conor Gallagher and Chukwuemeka, who is on that West Ham defender. I don't know his name. And they sort of make a mess of it. The defender very shrewdly pushes Gallagher and is able to get a lot of space and nod the ball past Sanchez. And It just was not the ideal way to start that game. We started off on the back foot, but it sort of lit a fire under us, and I felt like that is where we started to get a foothold on the game and feel like, no, there's enough time in the game. We need to start picking up the momentum, picking up the pace, and get going. And we really did. I was really impressed with so many players, and the reaction after that was fantastic. We looked composed, and we looked like we whereas last season, Chelsea, when we go 1-0 down, our heads drop, and we never looked like we're going to get back into the game. This was not the case. We definitely looked like we were creating enough chances to get into the game. We were being direct, and we were taking all kinds of chances. And it's just, it didn't take very long for us to create that opportunity. Sterling was constantly bombing down there, bombing down that right-hand side. Enzo was switching the play, and at the end of the day, it was a brilliant run from Nicholas Jackson, who was just immense in that first half. Spread the pitch, spread the distance between the defenders, was able to bring in Carney, and Carney absolutely smashed that ball home. And it was such a great moment for him, and it was so good to see one of these young prospects get on the score sheet and score so emphatically. I was chuffed with that goal and getting back, and I just knew the momentum was with us and we were going to kick on. And as we did, we continued. Raheem Sterling was making some runs that I've just never seen him do. Once again, that's the best performance I've seen from Raheem Sterling in a Chelsea shirt. He was phenomenal. At the end of the day, he gets us a penalty. And then we've got to talk about the penalty. Enzo Fernandez, is that our penalty taker? I mean, Enzo absolutely bossed this game. He was sensational. Passes, short, no look, quick, long, like any outside the boot, inside the boot. The range of passes, incredible. The tempo, everything ticks around Enzo. It's amazing. But I haven't seen a conviction in front of goal from Enzo Fernandez yet. We saw it in pre-season. He missed sort of a glaring opportunity. We saw it perhaps last season. I didn't really ever see him look like he was a convincing finisher, or really had that sort of tool in his tool shed. But this penalty wasn't a great one at the end of the day. I felt like he telegraphed it, and I didn't feel confident when he did step up. There's just something about his finishing that sort of lacks a lot to be desired at the moment, and he needs to address that. I don't know who our penalty taker is at the moment. If it is going to be Enzo moving forward, we need to perhaps sort of work on that, because at the end of the day, Chelsea go 2-1 up. We were deserved to go into that second half with the lead, and that would have changed the whole scope of this game, and we probably wouldn't be here now licking our wounds after getting beat 3-1. Chelsea would have taken that lead into the half, and I think everything would have just gone smooth sailing from there. I thought we would have cracked on even more. West Ham would have been desperate to score, desperate to get the equaliser, and we would have really punished them and made the most of that. Didn't go that way. Enzo misses, and we go into that. On top of that, Carney gets injured, and we go into that second half not the same team we were in the first. The Mudryk substitution. Now, we've got to talk about Mykhailo Mudryk as well. We need to talk about how this guy's got a big confidence issue. He just doesn't seem to be at it. He doesn't really seem to know what his place is in the team, how he can link up, and when to be direct, and when to pass, and just when to just be involved in the game. He kind of floats and drifts around, and I think maybe a player of his caliber, there seems to be a bit of arrogance there. Like, it doesn't really feel like when I see him press, it's not really done with intent. When he sort of makes passes, it's just a bit nonchalant. I get it. He's under a lot of pressure, considering the sum that he came to Chelsea for, considering the transfer fee. He is under a microscope every time he's on the pitch. And I guess that is the reason why Mudryk isn't starting games. Because if you look at this now, no manager has started Mudryk. There's something lacking there. There's a confidence issue. But it's hard to be so patient considering the profile of player, the talent that he is. I need to be seeing more. He came on for Carney. He didn't impact the game whatsoever. Maybe he made a couple runs past defenders. Crosses were like weak and didn't really have any intent on them. And just in general, he just strikes me as a guy who is sort of faking it. He's not playing with confidence. There's something isn't right there. Maybe it's his position. Like, I think Pochettino has definitely got to get in his ear now. Have some, I don't know whether he needs an arm around him or he needs sterner words, but Mudryk has not produced at this point. It's fair to say Mudryk has not been producing so far. And it's worrying because we lost a real prong in our fork of attack when he came on. We were so much more blunt and we didn't create half as many chances. So Mudryk, that definitely weakened us. And of course, West Ham, they're just shrewd. David Moyes knows every trick in the book. He knows how to soak up pressure, and for all that possession, it was almost like 80-20. All that possession counts for absolutely nothing if you can't put the ball in the back of the net. And Antonio put the ball in the back of the net emphatically. What a finish from him. Disasi makes a mess of it, sort of him and Thiago Silva. I think it was more Disasi didn't quite convincingly clear it, tried to be cute, tried to make a forward pass into the midfield. It gets intercepted. Antonio has got room to run, room to gallop, and he smashes it through the legs of Disasi, past Sanchez, who I must say, Sanchez, I don't think he could really do anything about the goals, but I just not feeling super confident with him between the sticks and his sort of saving capabilities. It's not really striking me as a shot stopper, but maybe that's me being harsh. It was defensive mistakes, defensive complacency that cost us in this game, and not being shrewd enough to deal with West Ham's counter-attack. We knew that's how they were going to play, and we were far too exposed in many parts of the game where they could counter-attack, and they actually looked like they were in a more promising position. And that's the thing, when you've got all this possession and you don't make it count, and you lose on it, lose to counter-attack goals, you lose to getting hit on the break, and set pieces, it stings. It stings. Like, we played some fantastic football today, honestly. Like, there's so many positives, but to get beaten the way we did, it really, really stings. And then, Moises Caicedo comes on, the big man, the big transfer signing, record breaking, and you could tell sort of within the first 5 minutes that the pressure. He felt it. He felt a bit of pressure. He's walked into this team and he's, I don't think he's played. I don't think he's fit. I don't think he's quite game ready. And I really felt he was lacking sharpness. Maybe like he was just looking a bit lost out there. A few stray passes happened before he gave away the penalty. And he just looked a bit like he wasn't quite amongst it. He lacked a bit of sharpness. And that's to be expected. No one's going to judge him on this. He's going to have a long and beautiful Chelsea career. I don't doubt it. But his head definitely went. And considering we went 10, West Ham went down to 10 men. I've skipped past that. They went down to 10 men and we just didn't even look like we had the extra man. They soaked up the ball, they soaked up the pressure so well. They put all the men they had behind the ball, and Chelsea just couldn't quite get it. Malo Gusto wasn't quite giving in those direct crosses that we needed. Sterling, by that point, I think had got a bit leggy. I think a like for like, Noni coming on for Sterling might have been better because we were sort of not really sure what we were doing on that right-hand side towards the latter stages of that half. When we were trying to get that equaliser, we just looked like we had no idea. It was Gusto, Madueke and Sterling. They were all just sort of like, do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want it? And no one was really making a killer pass. I mean, there was some great direct football from Sterling at times, but the cross on the end of it was lacking. There was the delivery in this game from Chelsea wasn't good unless it was coming from Enzo. And I think you lose that when you don't have Reece James. But yeah, 3-1. We lose. And what does this mean? What does this result mean? It means that we've definitely been knocked down a peg. At the end of the day, Chelsea and the narrative around Chelsea has been running wild with these new signings and the way we can, potentially like challenge, we're going to get into top four breaking. It's not going to be easy because teams come and play Chelsea knowing that we aren't quite the same team. We don't quite have that same authority that Chelsea teams of the past have had, and that we are beatable. And like West Ham today, they fancied themselves. They've stuck to their game plan. They absorbed it, and they, are going to enjoy the spoils of war. But Chelsea really blew it. Like, that penalty, at the end of the day, it happens. Penalties get missed, but I really feel like going into that second half, 2-1 up, would have changed the shape of this game. Chelsea are going to need to learn fast. This is a sort of defeat that perhaps it's good to happen early on, but what is key and what we saw last season is that we don't spiral now, because that's what happened last season. We lost the first few games at the beginning of the season and we just never got out of that rut. We spiraled and we we kept hitting new lows after new low after new low, and it's so important that we learn from this. At the end of the day, Pochettino needs to see this side of this team. Even though there is a new players, there is a character issue I feel that we're lacking here. And we need to be a bit better when we do go behind. That is one of the key things with this Chelsea team I've seen recently. When we go behind, we don't quite have those characteristics to get back into the game. And I think Poch will look into that. At the end of the day, if you think about that famous Tottenham result against Man City where those players fought to the very end, I didn't feel that was sort of on show today, that kind of performance from this Chelsea team. It didn't look like some of these players quite had that know-how and sort of could dig deep and run those hard yards. And there are a few players there that perhaps sort of tapered off and didn't quite show their fight over the 90 minutes. And I think Poch needs to address that, get into them. And probably we're going to see his nasty side from here on. I'm sure some of those players will, because we should not have lost this game. We should not have lost it in the manner that we did. We have capitulated and we go from the London Stadium and we lose 3-1. Guys, let me know what you think about this game. This is just my immediate match reactions to this game. I'm going to do a player rating tomorrow. And, we can dissect it. These are just the initial raw emotions from the game. Bitterly disappointed. And it's going to be Luton on Friday, which you would say is a must-win. But to lose, we've got 1 point on the table so far. It's disappointing. I really thought this was the game we were going to kickstart the season with, against an opposition that we're more than capable of beating. Guys, let me know what you think. What do you think about the game? Tell me some of your higher points, your low points of this game. I'm sure there are many low points, but I want to hear about the higher points. What were the positives that you thought? And yeah, again, like this video if you can. It'd be a massive help considering the result. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and leave a comment. I want to hear from you guys. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one tomorrow when I'll do a sort of player by player rating. Till then.